you very much, Stanislav. So I see that there are people already noticing my T-shirt. That's great. It was on purpose, huh? So to everyone that are big fans of Zelda, this is a big cheers for you guys. So yes, first of all, I would like to thank you guys for inviting me for this talk. It's a really a pleasure for me to be talking here at this opening ceremony for another big network that I hope it will help us, all the developers, of all of the game developers that are around the world, to have better tools to contact with everyone. So it's really important for us to have a great network with everyone. So saying this, I will jump to my presentation. Let me just share my screen here. All right, first slide. I hope that everyone is watching the screen.
Yeah, we can see.
Yes. Okay, so here let's talk about Nectar Interactive. So who are we, right? So let's jump in. This is a small presentation that I will talk about all the adventure that we have been doing since the last few months. Obviously, I will talk also about our experience on the previous years before we started doing hyper casual games, and just a bit, so you guys can see the evolution in how we adapted to this hyper casual development, and obviously we start with the team, right? So and what we defined in the beginning of Nectar Interactive to be working on. So in the beginning, Nectar Interactive was created with a purpose that was basically to create digital solutions around gamification and in custom-made video games. With this, I mean that we made also advertising games, branded games, let's call it like that, to the brands. And I will explain this, how we jumped to this second solution. The first one was really gamification, and we started by there. So our first business area was gamification. And why gamification? Well, first of all, because we are Nectar Interactive is a small department inside a bigger company that is B Engineering, and B Engineering is basically a company that works around with several clients that are mainly on the finance or technology based. So these are the typical clients that B Engineering had at the beginning. So it made all sense for us to start developing gamification, because gamification is an approach for corporate solutions, right? So that's why we started with gamification, but we wanted to do things differently than what we already were seeing in the market. So with that, we created a product. We made Be Brave. That is mainly a gamification solution that tracks your progress, right? So basically, it says that around the metrics that you are working with on the real world, you will see your progress and your evolution with these tools. So, but what we wanted to do since the beginning was to show, in first place, a video game, right? Usually, gamification shows you more data than the game part, right? So we wanted to change that and Be Brave around this ideal that was to have in the front hand a game that is what you are watching here, for example, a battle system that is fitted with real metrics, real world metrics. And obviously we went to grab several features that games have, like a narrative system, an avatar system, a progress world where you see the progress of your path and your goals that you achieve. And we even made a mini game around cards that you could play on Be Brave. So this is what we have done on gamification. And obviously we then started to see that we needed to make an approach for a more B2C market, right? So this was very targeted to B2B, to all the corporate companies. So, and then we started to see, okay, let's try and go for the marketing, more marketing area. And then that's why we started developing Adver Games. So Adver Games, basically, it's a game that has a brand attached, right? So you have a specific type of game, and you just add the brand there. So, and the idea here was to make several mechanics, game mechanics that were already created by us. So all the structure, the framework is there. We just needed to adapt the visual aspect of the game mainly, and we made a few projects with big companies here in Portugal that went really well. So we made a real significant experience for the audience and for different contexts, like just with a digital campaign or even an event where the brand was present. But we wanted more, right? So here with Adver Games, we started to work a solution that was more close to what a video game is, right? So what you are watching here is basically arcade games, right? Where you just need to play and reach a high score and be the best one in that day. So just like we did on our arcade rooms, saloons, and around the world that everyone was playing a few years ago. So what else, right? So we started to look at a few options, and because our team is basically a group of players, right? So we are real players. We play lots of games, and why not also to try and develop real video games for mobile, right? And then we made this decision to make hyper casual games, and that's what I'm also going to explain here, why we started this and what were the first steps that we made to go for the hyper casual market. So first of all, we have to assemble a great team. This seems like a classic step that you need to make. But what I want to say here is that you need to assemble a great team that are most of all players and friends and passionate people around this. So it's you really have to make a team that likes to play games and in that you can do several other things with your team. So and it's very important for this to be able to play games are not only on at work, right? So you need to also you can also play games after works, and we do that actually. So I think that I have some of them at least watching this talk, but we play a lot of Among Us, for example. It's a game that everyone is playing, right? So, but this is a typical scenario where we can talk with each other and have some fun with the team, right? Then we need to understand the market, the hyper casual market. So this is crucial not only for a person like me that is the product manager, but for the whole team, right? Everyone in the team needs to understand how this market works and how the games are and what type of games are in the top charts. So with this, you need to understand what type of games you have, what are the publishers that you can talk with, how they work in the market, and this is very, very important. And talking about the market, so and this was obviously one of the things that we saw when we started to look at the hyper casual market, was that this is a market that is growing a lot since at least from 2 to 3 years ago. And the thing now is that you are having lots and lots of games that are released each month. So you just have here a small example of how many games are launched for each month, and it's actually it's crazy, right? So, but the good thing here is that you have lots of opportunity because you have lots of players that are starting now to play these hyper casual games. A few years ago, I'm working on mobile games for a few years. We just hear about casual games, right? So this was the only genre that you usually would play and know, because you had casual games like Candy Crush and these type of games. But now you are starting to see this new genre that is the hyper casual games, and it's growing like crazy. It's really a great opportunity for the developers to show their potential on this market, and mostly because of another thing that is also how fast these games are or need to be developed. I will get there. So as I already said, we have to play a lot of hyper casual games. So obviously, when you want to know how the market works, you need to play and know the products, right? So this is really important for everyone to play lots of hyper casual games. And I mean, you just need to go and watch the top charts and see the games that are there, because this will give you a hint about the type of games and the trends that are working better. So with this, when you start playing hyper casual games, you will also get to know the publishers, right, that are on the market. This will give you a big visibility of how many publishers there are in the world that are working on hyper casual games. So this is also a benefit for you to play games in not only to have fun. And also it's very important for you to watch and be present on social networks. Watch YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I mean, this is basically an idea for you to have a better understanding of what are the trends in these social networks, in these media, because several hyper casual games are based on real trends on these social networks, and here is where you will get lots of ideas for your development. And in the first steps category, I will include here a create an idea pool. This is basically this is a way for you to have a place where you can put your ideas for the development, to develop a new game. And this it's really important for you guys to have at least a day per week, for example, to discuss within the team about ideas. And with ideas, I mean ideas that you can have on your daily life, like a very small step that you make in the streets, and you just see something that you see, you can find it funny and write it down, and then discuss with the team to discuss and see if it has potential to develop. So it's really important to have a place to put the ideas. So when you start the creation process, you have to brainstorm, right? So this comes in a sequence, because if you have an idea, then you can have this brainstorm with your team, and everyone needs to be involved on this process, because, as I said, it's just not a decision of the product manager or the game designer. It should be an idea or a development that everyone can say about, and this is really important to start with. And also, you need to begin with small game mechanics. So what I mean with this is that if you, in the beginning of this development process, and this is something that happened to us in the beginning because we came from a different development vision, where we in the beginning we started to develop games with an idea of how to grab the attention or how to grab the attention for the player for lots of days, right? To have a really great retention level. And this is important, it's valid, but in the beginning, because you need to start by validating the marketability of the games, you have to go small in the beginning, and because you need to be quick on the market, you need to make really quick prototypes, and with this you start just by grabbing the game mechanic, the main core mechanic of the game. You just, in the beginning, you don't need to be worried about if you have many levels, if you have coins to grab, how the visuals are, if the visuals are good enough. Just go for the core mechanic. This will give you a better development cycle for you to validate the game mechanic. And I will get you more information about this cycle of development ahead. So then there it is, develop quick prototypes. Usually in the beginning, when we started by developing upper casual games, we made our first game was made in four weeks, more or less, like around this. And then with the last game, we were able to do it, a prototype, right, in 2 weeks. So we are shortening the development cycle, and it's very important for us to be really quick and fast enough to even make a game, a prototype, in 1 week. This would be the ideal scenario, because in 1 week you will then be able to test the game and then start another development, because the more you test it, the more you'll get, the better results you'll get. And obviously here also in all this process, you need to start in contact with the publishers. And by this, I mean that you need to not only start submitting games on the publishers, but also starting to be present on contests, on game jams. This is another step that I have here on this creation process. Even here, submitting the prototypes to several publishers and participating in game jams and contests. So these 3 steps here are very important. And why? Because when you start submitting games on the publishers, you will start to see results and metrics. And this is the best way for you to grow and get better on the development. To give you an idea, in the beginning, we started by contacting publishers like Voodoo, Supersonic, Crazy Labs, Boombeat. By the way, I had a note here. Tomorrow you will have here a talk about with John Hook from Boombeat. Just make sure to watch it, because he always says great things. Yes, so this is the best way for you guys to start getting better with the results, because you will submit a game, and then there will be tests that you'll do with the games, and then with this you will start to see metrics. This is the next slide here. You'll start to see tests, and depending on the publishers that you will talk with, there are publishers that will provide you or allow you to do CTR tests. So CTR tests are basically a way for you to see the click-through rate of a video of your game that will be published on a social network. What the good thing here, for example, on this first testing here, is that for the CTR test, you don't need to have the game published on the stores, right? So you just need to have the game running on Unity or another engine that you use, and make a small recording of the game, send it to the publisher, to the dashboard, and start the CTR tests. So the CTR tests are basically a way for you to see if people that watch your video will click on the video with the intention of playing the game. Obviously, then the game is not already in the stores, but you'll start to see here if there are lots of users clicking on a video or not. And this will give you the first hint that the core mechanic that you are showing to the players is interesting enough for them to click on the video. And then the next step here is to do a CPI test. So CPI, it's a cost per install test that you do. So this is the next step where you need to have the game published on the stores, right? Because here people will see the ad from your game, and they will click on the video and they will be redirected to the stores and install the game. So this is the conversion that you will see. If they see the video and click and install, here you will have a value that will give you also a perception. If players are interesting enough on your game idea, right? So here, both for CTR and CPI, there are several values that you need to consider and to understand if you are having a good result or not, right? Usually for a CTR, you just need to have more than 3.5%, for example, of click-through rate. On the CPI tests, usually on the medium size here, but on average, you need to have below 30 cents of CPI tests. But this depends also a lot on the publishers, and also it's not mandatory, right? So what you need to have here is a great idea that will have good potential. It doesn't. What I mean with this, it's that even if you have a video that will give you a CPI of, let's imagine, a 40%, for example, that doesn't mean that the publisher won't want to talk with you. Quite the opposite. So it's like a game that has the potential to get to the great results that you need. Yeah. So then the next steps here will be to start working on the retention levels. And here, it's what you really need to do is to develop new features that will engage the players for more days, right? So this is the next cycle, the next development cycle, where you really need to start doing more things on the game and getting the visuals even better. And here because here you will need to have great day one retention. So basically, how many players are returning after 1 day of installing your game, and then after installing 7 days. So this is a great metric for you guys to understand if the game will be played for lots of months and years, hopefully. There are not that many games that stay on the top charts for a long time, but there are already several games that does this. Okay, so publishers. Okay, developing full game. Yes, so here is the final development step that you need to make. So it's like if you start to have great retention levels, then you go ahead for a full developing of your game, and this is when you reach this point, you are already on a successful road, right? But it's very important here since the beginning to analyze the metrics, right? It's something that is really I would say that it's new for at least for a few developers, because usually a developer that is not that experienced will start to just publish the game on the stores. They will see some metrics like downloads or stuff like that. But here you start to have a better idea of how this market works, and it's really based on these metrics that I'm showing you here: CTRs, CPIs, and retention levels. This is very important. So for this slide here, I'm contacting the publishers. I would say that to talk about this, we would need maybe a full day of talking about. But what I basically want to say here is that every publisher will have a small difference around the publishing agreement that will provide you. So you really need to be aware of what they are giving you. And there are mainly two to three different approaches here that you can have. So there are some publishers that will give you, for example, a minimum guarantee for you to develop a prototype. And if you reach certain milestones, you will have a minimum value guarantee that you will receive. And then you continue until 2 steps, 3 steps. And then if the game continues well, they will give you a publishing agreement with a revenue model, that revenue share that we'll have. And this is typical with any publisher. But what is important here is that you, when you reach this point of having a revenue share model, it's really important for you to have at least, I would say, 50-50 revenue share with the publisher, because you are the team that is developing the game, right? So you need really to have a return on the investment that you made, because your team, your company is investing on this, and at least to have a 50-50 share revenue would be fair enough, I would say. But this is something that depends a lot on the publisher and the different regions around the globe that you will talk with. But just pay attention for this situation here. But I would say that it's good to have an open discussion with the publishers. Hopefully, and usually I would say from our experience, that we have been really lucky with all the publishing managers that we have been talking with. And it's usually a discussion that goes well. So make sure to talk with them with an open mind, right? So yeah, now I'm just showing you here some evolution of our own results of our games. As I said in the beginning, we started by developing a game that took more or less 4 weeks to develop. And an interesting fact here is that this game was a 2D game, okay? And basically, it was a game that had a good retention level. Well, at least an interesting retention level, but the CPIs were horrible, like you are seeing here on these graphics. So basically, we had almost like $2 for the CPI, which is too high. But then we started to understand that we had to make the transition for 3D games. Okay, so this is one of the things that we learned with the process, that the games need to be in 3D nowadays. So all the games that you will see on the top charts will be in 3D. And well, we started with 2D because that's what we did better at the time. And then we made this transition for 3D. And this was something that was a bit painful, but we started to see better results immediately, right? So on the next iterations, this, by the way, this is not 13 games, it's just 13 iterations of games, okay? Since the beginning, and also to share this information. So we are developing games for more or less 7 to 8 months, and we have done already 7 games, right? So we have more or less 1 game per month by average. And here, but with the same game, sometimes we did a new iteration just to test something different and see if the results were better. And the good news here, and this is one of the main messages that I would like to share with you guys, is that if you continue to develop games in hyper casual games, you will start to see better results ongoing, right? So because you will get better, you will know what are the tricks to do better games, what are the genres that you need to focus on, and this will start to show really better results, right? And here is the example of what we have done. And here on the last game, you can see that we have achieved 25 cents on Android. Also, this is important to say because on Android, the values are a bit different than iOS, sorry. Usually iOS doubles the values for better or worse. So here you see the evolution of our games. In one of our last games that we developed already had some really interesting results. And obviously I want to show you a small example of what we have been doing. There's one game that's not here yet on this show reel that I'm going to show you now. It's the last game that we have developed, which had the best CPI results. This basically is a runner game, right, with cards, and there's a core mechanic here that is mainly to destroy the opponents, right? And obviously also the animations of the opponents. That's the main thing here in the game. Obviously, as you can see, we don't have any UI here yet. We don't have any coins. We don't have any visual feedbacks. This is just the main core mechanic that we wanted to show to the market. So from here, we can obviously improve the game with several new features, and that's what we should do next. So I'm finishing the presentation. I have here some last words just to summarize here all the conversation. So
okay,
focus on the development. Okay, so this is very important. Focus on the development. Mainly don't get any distractions. If you keep developing games all the time, 100%, you will start to see great results. So fail cheap and fail quickly. This is a great sentence from our friend, also from Supersonic. So what this basically means is that you need you just need a small team to be focusing on the development of hyper casual games, and you will fail a lot, right? So this is normal. I don't see this as a negative aspect. You will fail a lot. And also to give you an idea of all the examples that we can see on the market, the developers that can have a successful game usually spend like a whole year developing games. So it takes quite a few time to reach the success, and to also to have patience here. Define the core mechanic in tests. So this is just what I said. It's really important for you in the beginning to focus on one thing only and test it quickly. This will get you the results. And obviously with all of this, you will learn with the process. It's very important for you to go through all of these difficulties and to also to understand how this works. And with this, you will get better, definitely. And obviously believe in your team. So luckily, I have a great team to work with, and they are really passionate gamers also, and they will always give everything to develop these amazing games. So it's really important to have that. Okay, so thank you very much, you guys, for being there, and yeah. So here's my contacts. Anything that you want, you can contact me at any media that you want. Okay.